German soldiers expected British weapons to be solid, polished, and familiar. So when they first saw a British gun that cost around £2 and looked like a piece of scrap metal, they didn't take it seriously at all. But they were wrong, because this basic, ugly, almost homemade looking weapon kept appearing on battlefields where it had no right to work, and it kept stopping their patrols again and again. The more they encountered it, the more confused they became. They couldn't understand how something so crude could function reliably under real combat conditions. By the early 1940s, Britain needed a new submachine gun fast. The German MP40 was everywhere, and British forces didn't have anything nearly as cheap or as quick to produce. So instead of designing something beautiful or complex, Britain went in the opposite direction. They built a weapon with almost no machining, no polished components, and no fancy materials. Just simple tubes, welded plates, and basic stamped steel. It was the definition of minimalism. It was the kind of design most engineers would never choose, unless speed mattered more than style. German troops, trained with high-quality weapons and precision engineering, saw this £2 gun and assumed it couldn't possibly perform under stress. But that assumption fell apart quickly. Because despite its appearance, the weapon had one huge advantage German soldiers never expected. It was incredibly simple. There was almost nothing inside it that could jam, freeze, or break. If mud got in, you shook it out. If it got wet, it still fired. If it was dented or scratched, it usually kept going anyway. Compared to German firearms, which often needed cleaning, oiling, and careful handling, this cheap British gun looked like a toy, yet behaved like a tool. German patrols began noticing something odd. Units that normally relied on slow-firing rifles suddenly had access to rapid bursts of fire. British troops, who might have been outmatched at close range, could now respond instantly. That shift alone caused confusion. Germany was used to having the advantage in automatic weapons. Suddenly, Britain had something it could mass-produce so quickly that frontline units were receiving them faster than the Germans expected. The weapon's strength wasn't power, it wasn't accuracy, it wasn't craftsmanship, it was accessibility. A British soldier could learn to operate it within minutes. There were no complex controls, no delicate parts, and no precise tolerances that demanded expert training. It was designed for one job: fire quickly at short range. And that was exactly where German troops often expected British units to struggle. Instead, in trenches, hedgerows, alleyways, and rubble-filled ruins, German squads found themselves facing sudden, unexpected bursts from a gun they had dismissed as unreliable. The strangest part for German soldiers came from how it behaved while worn, damaged, or dirty. Ironically, the more battered it looked, the better it seemed to perform. Its simple, open-bolt system pushed out dirt with every shot. Its crude, stamped magazine wasn't precise, but it didn't need to be. Everything about the weapon was built around good enough, not perfection. And sometimes, good enough is exactly what wins in close-quarters fighting. Reports from German units show a pattern. Many believed the gun was poorly made and ineffective on first sight. Then they faced it up close and realized it worked far better than the design suggested. They couldn't understand how something so cheap could function so consistently. For soldiers trained to trust engineering quality, it didn't make sense. But that was the entire point. Britain hadn't tried to out-engineer Germany. They tried to out-produce them. And by doing so, they changed frontline combat in ways German troops didn't expect. The truth is simple. This £2 British weapon wasn't designed to impress. It wasn't designed to be perfect. It wasn't designed to last. It was designed to exist in large numbers, to be handed out quickly, and to fire reliably at the exact moments British soldiers needed it. German troops misjudged it because they assumed a weapon must look effective to be effective. That mistake cost them more time, momentum, and confidence than they ever expected. In the end, the reason this cheap British gun kept stopping German troops wasn't mechanical brilliance or superior firepower. It was practicality. It was speed. It was simplicity. A reminder that on the battlefield, the most effective weapon isn't always the most expensive one. It's the one that does its job when the moment demands it.